All right, you ready? Today I've got some stuff that'll keep you on edge. You know what to do. Like, sub, and let's go. I've been getting voicemails from my own phone number describing things I haven't done yet. This one came from X, and honestly, it is one of those posts that sits with you. Not because it is the scariest thing ever posted, but because of how normal everything starts, and how fast normal stops meaning anything. OP goes by Signal Loss Mara, posted back in January, and right away she makes it clear, she is not someone who goes looking for weird things to happen to her. So I don't really know where to post this. I'm 26F. I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment. I work a boring admin job at a logistics company. My life is aggressively normal. Or it was. About a week ago, I started getting missed calls from my own number, like my actual phone number showing up on my caller ID. I figured it was one of those spoofing scams and ignored it, but the voicemails started piling up. 5, then 6, then more. Tuesday night, I finally sat down and listened to one. It was my voice. Not similar to my voice, my voice. The exact way I talk, the little pause I do before listing things, all of it. And it was describing a grocery run I hadn't taken yet. Specific items. The brand of orange juice I always get. The fact that I'd grabbed 2 cans of chickpeas because they were on sale. I hadn't been to the store in days. I freaked out but told myself someone was messing with me, maybe some AI voice clone thing. Then I hit play on the next voicemail. My voice again, calm, almost flat, narrating me walking through my own apartment at 3 a.m., stopping in front of the hallway mirror. And then my voice on the recording says, "You're not her anymore." That night I woke up standing in front of my hallway mirror. It was 3:07 a.m. My mouth was still closing around words I don't remember saying. I have zero memory of getting out of bed. I don't know who to tell about this because I know exactly how it sounds. And that is where she leaves it. No explanation, no theory, no plea for help. Just a woman standing in front of a mirror at 3 in the morning, mouth still warm from words she never chose to say. This one is just getting started. She keeps going. And this is where the post shifts completely. What started as one terrifying night becomes something way worse. A pattern. One she can document, but absolutely cannot stop. Over the next few days, more voicemails showed up. Always from my number, always my voice. But now they were describing stuff that hadn't happened yet. Just normal, boring stuff. One of them described a conversation I'd have with my coworker Beth about the coffee machine being broken on the second floor. Word for word. Down to Beth saying, "I swear this thing hates me." I hadn't even gone into work yet. The next one mentioned a dentist appointment on Thursday. I didn't have a dentist appointment. Then the next morning, my dentist's office called to confirm a booking I apparently made online 2 days earlier. I have zero memory of booking it. I started keeping a log after that. Timestamps for when I listened to each voicemail versus when the event actually happened. The accuracy was 100%. Not close, not almost. Every single detail played out exactly how the voice described it. I tried calling my own number back. It just rang through to my voicemail. I contacted my carrier, and they confirmed there were no outgoing calls I didn't make. I changed my voicemail PIN. Didn't matter. The messages kept coming. But honestly, the predictions aren't even the worst part. It's the tone. My voice on those messages sounds calm, almost bored, like I'm reading off a grocery list of my own life. And I know this sounds weird, but the voice on those voicemails sounds more like me than I do. Like whatever is leaving these messages is doing a better job at being me than I am. That detail about the voice is what changes the whole post, because everything before it you can almost talk yourself into an explanation. Spoofed caller ID, weird coincidence. Maybe she booked the dentist appointment half asleep and just forgot about it. But that thing she said at the end, about the voice sounding more like her than she does, that's not a tech problem. That's not a prank. That's something else entirely. And you can tell from the way she writes it that she already knows that too. This is where OP tries to fight back, and honestly, it might be the most unsettling section of the whole post. So I tried to break it. One of the voicemails said I'd take the stairs at work on Thursday morning. Fine. I took the elevator instead. Pressed the button, got in, doors closed. I felt like I'd won something for about 30 seconds. Then the elevator stopped between floors 2 and 3. Just stopped. Maintenance had to come get us out, and they routed everyone through the stairwell. I walked down those stairs exactly the way the voicemail described. I stayed at my friend Sarah's place that night because I couldn't be in my apartment anymore. But I'd already listened to that morning's voicemail before I decided to go. It described me sleeping on Sarah's pull-out couch with the broken spring on the left side. I didn't even know her couch had a broken spring. When I laid down that night, I felt it immediately, left side, just like it said. I don't feel like I'm living my life anymore. I feel like I'm performing it. Every choice I think I'm making was already written down somewhere in a voicemail I haven't listened to yet. I'm not deciding anything. I'm just hitting my marks. The original post ends there, and then the comments start pulling at threads OP maybe didn't want pulled. The mirror thing made my stomach drop. You woke up doing the thing it described? That's not a spoofed number, that's something else entirely. Okay, I don't want to freak you out more, but have you checked your apartment for cameras or devices? If someone is watching you closely enough, they could predict your routine and deepfake your voice. The technology exists. Have you tried calling your own number back? I know it sounds stupid, but if something is routing through your line, there might be a connection on the other end. I did, twice. The first time it just rang and went to my own voicemail greeting, which, hearing my own voice pick up while I was the one calling, felt deeply wrong. The second time, there was about 4 seconds of silence before it disconnected. No ring, no voicemail, just dead air and then nothing. My carrier says there's no unusual activity on my line. OP came back 6 days later with an update, and this is where it goes from creepy to something else entirely. I found the older voicemails, and I don't think I'm the original. So I took the advice some of you gave me and went deep into my voicemail archive, the ones I'd been ignoring for months. There were dozens of them, all from my number. But the older ones aren't predictions. They're different. They sound reflective, almost sad. One from 5 months ago says, "I hope you like the apartment. I picked it because of the light in the kitchen." Another one says, "You'll meet Beth on your 3rd day. She's good. Be nice to her." The oldest one I could find is from 7 months ago. My voice is quiet, and it just says, "I don't think I have much time to keep doing this. I just wanted to make sure the transition was smooth." Then I found one more, time-stamped 2 weeks from now, future dated. My voice is completely flat. It says, "By now you've probably found these. I'm sorry. You were always the copy." I played it 4 times. She doesn't sound scared. She doesn't sound cruel. She sounds tired, like someone finishing a job they never wanted. And I keep saying she because I don't know what else to call her anymore. That last line just sits in your chest. The comments on this update were split right down the middle. Half the thread in full panic mode, the other half trying to make it make sense. This reads like a dissociative episode. I'm not diagnosing you, but please see a neurologist. Sleepwalking plus memory gaps plus stress can absolutely produce this kind of experience. Dissociation doesn't leave voicemails with accurate timestamps from your own number, though. The technical side doesn't fit a neurological explanation. Someone or something is generating these recordings externally. I've seen threads like this on here before, and they always end with OP going silent. Please keep updating. Screenshot everything. Back up the voicemails to a cloud drive now. And that last comment hit a nerve, because if you've spent any time on boards like this, you know the pattern. The post gets weirder, the updates get darker, and then the account just stops. The next morning, one last edit went up, and then the account went dark. That was it. The account went dormant after that. No replies, no edits, no activity of any kind. And here's the detail that sat with me. That future-dated voicemail from the update post, the one stamped 2 weeks into the future, nobody ever went back to confirm whether it actually arrived on schedule. Because by the time that date came around, Signal Lost Mara was already gone. The thread just ended. No closure, no resolution, just a woman who found out her life might not have been hers to begin with, and whoever it did belong to was still out there, one step ahead, laughing. One comment from the original thread stuck with me. The fact that the voicemails are accurate is what gets me. If they were random nonsense, you could write it off. But they're describing your day before it happens. Something has access to your routine or your decisions before you make them. I don't know what's worse, The idea that someone out there is pretending to be you, or the possibility that you're the one pretending and you just didn't know it. All right, on to the next one. My therapist has started saying things only my dead mother ever said to me, and I don't know how she'd know any of it. This next one was posted on X back in mid-January, and it is the kind of story that rewires how you think about trust, about grief, about the people you allow into the most broken parts of yourself. OP goes by Quiet Placeholder. Fresh throwaway account, no post history. I don't really know where to post this, so I'm trying here. I'm 27 years old. My mom died 7 months ago after a long illness. I started grief counseling about 3 months after she passed. My insurance recommended a therapist, a woman in her mid-50s, very warm, very maternal. She reminded me of my mom in a way that felt comforting, and the first few weeks were completely normal. Textbook grief stuff. Then, last Thursday, we were talking about my childhood, and she leaned forward and said, "Well, maybe it's time to go to the Snumbly place." I need you to understand, Snumbly is not a real word. It does not exist. My mother made it up when I was 4 as part of a bedtime routine just for me. Time to go to the Snumbly place meant time to close your eyes and go to sleep. We never said it in front of anyone. It was never written down, never posted anywhere. It lived between me and my mom and no one else. And my mom is dead. The therapist kept talking like nothing happened. I ended the session early. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely open my car door. How does this woman know a word that only 2 people in the world ever used, and one of them has been in the ground for 7 months? And that right there is the hook. Because you can explain away a lot of things in therapy. Lucky guesses, cold reads, things you forgot you mentioned. But you cannot explain a nonsense word that was invented inside one house by one woman for one child. And that woman is gone. After the Snumbly incident, OP doesn't spiral. She does the opposite. She goes full methodical. And honestly, that's what makes this part hit different. She's not running from it. She's documenting. And what she finds when she checks her own records is exactly what she was afraid of. I went home and pulled out every journal entry from after every session. I write everything down, every topic, every phrase that stuck. I went through them line by line. Not once did I mention Snumbly. Not once did I bring up any lullaby or bedtime routine. I almost canceled my next appointment, had the email drafted, but I talked myself out of it, told myself I was grief spiraling, that maybe I said something and forgot, so I went back. 20 minutes in, normal session, then she tilted her head and said, "How's my little bee doing today?" Little bee, my mom's private name for me. Never on social media, never in a card, never said in front of anyone. It was only ours. I tested her, made up a fake memory, told her my mom called me pumpkin seed every morning. Total lie. She nodded but never latched on, never repeated it. 10 minutes later, she smiled and said, "Your mother had such gentle hands, the way she'd fold those little towel animals for you after bath time." I never told her that. I have never told anyone that. Her voice went soft when she said it, almost sing-song, like she was the one remembering. I started recording sessions on my phone after that. That test is what really locks this one in. She dangled a fake memory and the therapist didn't bite, didn't echo it, didn't build on it, nothing. But the real memories, the ones OP kept sealed away, things she never breathed to another living person, those came through without hesitation. Whatever this is, it's not cold reading. OP's got the phone recording now, and what comes next on those recordings is where this story crosses a line it doesn't come back from. So, OP does what any of us would do. She goes back and listens to the recordings. I played every recording 3 times. Then, I ran them through a spectrum analyzer, one of those free apps musicians use for vocal range. Every single time she used one of my mom's phrases, her voice dropped. Not dramatically, but consistently, about 15 hertz lower than her normal speaking register. Her regular voice sits around 190. When she says "little bee" or mentions the towel animals, it drops to 170. Every time, without exception. And here's the part I hate admitting. I don't want to stop going. For a few seconds during those moments, it feels like my mom is in the room with me. I know how that sounds. I hate myself for it, but I keep booking the next session. I tried to research her online, Googled her name, her license number, the practice. There's a bare-bones professional listing. Name, credentials, address. No photo. No reviews. No LinkedIn. Nothing. Decades of supposed experience and zero digital footprint. Then, last Thursday, she stepped out to take a call and left a folder open on her desk. I know I shouldn't have looked, but I did. It was a client intake list, maybe 15 names. Every single entry had a field labeled date of loss. Every single client had lost their mother, all within the past year. The thread had a lot to say after that one. The fact that she used a made-up word your mom invented is what got me. That rules out cold reading, lucky guesses, all of it. There's no rational explanation for that. You said she smiled when you confronted her. That's the part I can't get past. A normal person would be confused or defensive. She smiled because you finally noticed. Has anyone considered that maybe the mom told someone these things before she died and it got back to the therapist somehow? Like a previous counselor's notes? My mom never saw a therapist. She didn't believe in it, which is, honestly, kind of ironic. And the lullaby word. I need to be clear about this. She made it up when I was maybe 3. It wasn't written down anywhere. It wasn't in a journal. I asked my dad and my sister after this happened, and neither of them even remembered it. It lived in my head and my mom's head and nowhere else. That's what broke me. And that last line from OP is the one that sits with you. Because you can explain away a lot of things, but not that. This is where the whole thing turns. OP came back a few days later with an update post. I got the licensing board's response, and the woman doesn't exist. I debated whether to even post this. I went back one more time, recorder in my bag, running the whole time. I sat down and I just told her. I said I've noticed the phrases, the pet names, the things you say that you shouldn't know. I asked her how she knew. She didn't flinch. She didn't deny anything. She just looked at me and smiled. It wasn't defensive or caught off guard. It was gentle, almost proud. And then she said it. You were always the sensitive one. I went cold. That exact sentence, word for word. My mother said that to me the morning before she died. Private hospital room, no nurses present, no one else in the room, just us. I never wrote it down. I never told a single person, not my dad, not my best friend, not any therapist before her. No one alive knew that sentence existed. I don't know what I expected her to say, but it wasn't that. It was never supposed to be that. She said it like she was reminding me of something I already knew. I got up and walked out without another word. I sat in my car for 40 minutes before I could drive. OP stopped responding after that, but the comment section did not stop talking. The vocal pitch drop detail is horrifying. You're basically describing something wearing your therapist like a suit and slipping into your mother's voice. I'd never go back. I went back and reread the part where she says, "You were always the sensitive one." And yeah, the suit metaphor is exactly right. Whatever this is, it knows things it shouldn't, and it's comfortable. It's not struggling to access these memories, it's just using them, casually. I'm a therapist, and this violates every ethical boundary I can think of. Please report her immediately and do not go back to that office alone. That's where OP left it. No answers, no resolution. Just a closed door and a sentence that should not exist. OP came back a few days later with one final update post. And this is where the whole thing shifts from unsettling to something you can't quite put down. I got the licensing board's response, and the woman doesn't exist. I canceled all my future appointments over email. Didn't explain why, didn't say what I noticed, just said I was discontinuing services. 2 days later, she replied. One line. I understand, sweetheart. You know where to find me when you're ready. Sweetheart. That was the one word I never said. Not once. Not even close to once. My mother called me sweetheart every single day of my life, and I deliberately, consciously withheld it from every single session as a control. I never said it. I never hinted at it. I never even used a word that rhymed with it. She never heard it from me. I filed a formal complaint with the state licensing board. They investigated. The practice confirmed they have no record of that therapist ever being employed there. Her name is not in their system. The office I went to is real, the building exists, but the suite number I visited has been listed as vacant for over a year. No one has leased it. I went back myself. The door was locked, the nameplate was gone, there was nothing. I don't know what I sat across from for 3 months. I don't know what knew my mother's words better than I do. I'm deleting this account. I just needed someone else to know it happened. The thread went quiet after that, but a few comments landed. This is genuinely one of the most unsettling things I've ever read on here. The tenderness is what makes it so disturbing. She's not threatening you, she's mothering you, and that's worse. This one stays with me because the threat was never violent, it was tender. The one place you're supposed to be completely safe, where you lower every wall and let someone see the things you've never said out loud. That was the exact place something impossible reached through. And it didn't force its way in, it spoke gently. It remembered. It gave her what she came to therapy looking for in the first place, and that's why she can't walk away from it clean. None of us could. All right, on to the next one. My buddy, 26 male, took a job on a hemp farm in Oregon, and I drove out to visit him. I don't think he's allowed to leave. This one showed up on X back in January, posted by Dusty Ridgeline. It reads like a road trip story at first. Give it a minute. OP opens with some background on his college buddy Derek, and at first none of it sounds unusual. So, Derek and I went to college together. After graduation, he got really into the whole back to the land thing. Foraging, permaculture, all of it. I thought it was kind of cringe, but whatever, he seemed happy. About 4 months ago, he tells me he met some guy at a mushroom foraging meetup who runs a legal hemp cultivation operation out in rural southern Oregon. Free housing, decent pay, beautiful property. Derek was sold immediately. First couple weeks, everything seemed fine. He's sending me photos of the fields, sunsets, this little cabin he was staying in. It looked peaceful, honestly. Then the phone calls started to change. They got shorter. His voice went flat, almost like he was reading off a card. There was always someone talking in the background, but I could never make out what they were saying. Twice, the call just ended mid-sentence. No goodbye, just gone. I texted asking if everything was cool. Nothing for 3 days. Then I get a message with GPS coordinates and one line. Come see for yourself. You'll get it when you're here. So I drove. 11 hours straight from Sacramento. I pull up to the coordinates expecting some kind of farm entrance. Instead, it's a gated logging road. No signage anywhere except a hand-painted wooden board nailed to a post that reads, "The Route." And standing right there at the gate is a man dressed in white linen. He looks at me and smiles. Then he says my name. I had not said a single word. He told himself Derek must have mentioned something. That's the logical read. But the way this man said his name, unhurried, certain, like he'd been standing at that gate waiting for exactly this car at exactly this hour, that part didn't land right. And from here, it only gets stranger. So OP follows the steward past the gate. Dirt road through dense old-growth Douglas fir for about a quarter mile. Barely any light making it through the canopy. The whole walk in, this guy is making conversation that sounds rehearsed, down to the pauses. Every other sentence is about Derek's journey and the work. OP keeps quiet and keeps walking. We came through a clearing and I saw it. Shipping containers converted into living quarters, 8 or 9 in a half circle. Greenhouse, garden plots, 15, maybe 20 people in matching plain linen doing tasks in total silence. Not one looked up. No cell towers anywhere. A few old trucks by the tree line, keys pulled from every one. Then Derek stepped out of a container, and I barely recognized him. 30 pounds lighter, head shaved, same linen as everyone. He hugged me, but it felt mechanical, like his body remembered the motion but forgot why. His eyes were glassy. He started talking about the mission and root consciousness, but when I asked what he actually does all day, he just looped back to the same phrases. I asked to see the hemp fields. He froze and said, "That's phase 1. We've moved beyond that." He walked me around, but the whole tour felt staged. Then I noticed a building set apart from everything else. Concrete, no windows, nobody going near it. I asked what it was. Derek changed the subject so fast it gave me whiplash. They put me in a guest container for the night. I didn't sleep. Around 2 a.m. I heard chanting, low and rhythmic, coming from somewhere below ground. That is where things sit when the sun goes down. Whatever OP thought he was driving into when he left Sacramento 11 hours ago, a weird hippie commune, maybe a scam, maybe just his buddy being flaky, this is not that. Something is very wrong here. And the next morning, when OP finally gets Derek alone, the whole thing cracks wide open. OP barely slept. The chanting ran until 3 in the morning, and the silence after was worse. But he had a plan. Get Derek alone, ask one question, and read his face. I waited until their morning circle broke up, everyone standing around the greenhouse in silence for 20 minutes. Caught Derek heading toward the garden plots, asked him to walk the tree line with me. He kept glancing back, but came along. Once we were far enough, I asked him straight, "Can you leave whenever you want?" His whole face changed. Not like he was thinking, like a program loaded. He started reciting something about the covenant and how every member carries a spiritual debt that has to be resolved through labor. Leaving before completion meant abandoning the root, and the damage would follow him forever. Every word rehearsed. I grabbed his arm and said, "Dude, this is not you. What is going on?" His eyes went wide for half a second. He whispered, "They count everything." And then it was gone, back to the glassy calm like a switch flipped. I knew I couldn't get him out alone, told him I needed to head home. He walked me toward the gate, but 3 workers stepped onto the trail ahead of us, shoulder to shoulder, silent, not moving. The steward appeared behind them, said I was welcome to leave once I completed a visit reflection, an exit interview. I said no and pushed between 2 of the workers. Nobody grabbed me. Nobody moved. I half ran to my car, locked the doors, and drove. Didn't stop until I had signal. Pulled over on the shoulder of some highway and sat there shaking. The thread picked up fast after this one went live. This is textbook coercive labor trafficking dressed up as commune living. The spiritual debt contract is a known tactic. Please contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline immediately. The brand. A root system brand. These people marked him like livestock, and he showed it to you like it was a tattoo. I feel physically ill. The fact that the guy at the gate already knew your name is the part that made my stomach drop. They were expecting you. They probably read every text your friend sent. That's exactly what I think happened. When I went back through our texts later, every message from him after November had the same cadence. Short, positive, slightly off. I think someone else was writing them, or at least approving them before he hit send. The visit was probably allowed because they wanted to recruit me too. The guy in white asked me 3 times if I was looking for meaningful work. 2 weeks after driving away from that compound, OP came back with an update post. They raided the compound, but my friend called me a traitor. After I left, I couldn't stop hearing it. They count everything, over and over. I reached out to the Freedom of Mind Resource Center, a cult awareness nonprofit, and when I described the route, they didn't hesitate. They told me it matches a known pattern: labor trafficking operations disguised as intentional communities. They recruit young men through outdoor and wellness spaces, promise land work, then trap them using escalating debt structures. That spiritual labor covenant Derek talked about is a fake legal document claiming members owe over $40,000 in room, board, and training. It's not enforceable, but the people inside don't know that. The nonprofit connected me with 2 families whose sons joined similar compounds in Southern Oregon. Both filed missing persons reports. Neither son has been found. I filed an FBI tip. Derek's parents filed a missing persons report. His last text to me said, "I'm where I need to be. Please respect the process." The nonprofit told me that phrasing is templated. They've seen it word for word from other victims. I left my best friend in that place, and I don't know if I'm ever getting him back. The comment section on this one went deep. I grew up near illegal grows in Southern Oregon. The teepee housing thing is real. They recruit young guys with no family nearby and work them until they're too broken or too paranoid to leave. Him speaking in rehearsed phrases is what got me. That's not someone who's been convinced of something. That's someone who's been overwritten. There's a term for this in cult psychology: loaded language. They replace your internal monologue with the group's vocabulary until you literally can't think in your own words anymore. The fact that he's calling OP a traitor 3 weeks after being extracted means the programming is still running. Recovery from this takes years. OP went quiet in the replies for a while, then came back and said something in that thread made him remember a detail from his visit. A mark on Derek's inner wrist he hadn't thought twice about at the time. Now he's sure of what it was. A brand, shaped like a radial root system. 3 weeks went by after OP filed that FBI tip. Then he came back one last time. They raided the compound, but my friend called me a traitor. Federal agents and Oregon State Police hit the property on a Tuesday morning. 7 people were recovered, including Derek. 2 of the compound leaders, the ones who ran the entire operation, were arrested on federal labor trafficking charges. Local news ran maybe a 30-second segment about it. That was all the coverage it got. Nobody outside of us cared. I thought I'd feel relief when it was finally over. I didn't feel anything close to that. 4 days after the raid, I got a voicemail from Derek. He called me a traitor, said I severed the root, said he'd never forgive me for what I did to him and to the others. His voice was completely flat. Not angry, not sad, not anything. Just hollow. It still didn't sound like Derek. It sounded like something wearing his voice and using his mouth to say words that weren't his. He's in a deprogramming facility now. His parents are involved. His sister flew in from Chicago. He won't speak to any of them. He won't speak to me. I keep listening to that voicemail, not because of what he says, because I'm trying to hear my friend in there somewhere. I can't find him yet. That last line just sits there. Nothing else needs to be said after that. But the comments tried. You left him there. I know you had no choice, but that's going to eat at you for a long time. I'm sorry, man. It took me 2 full years before I stopped hating the person who pulled me out. I was in a group like this in Washington State. Your friend is still in there. He just can't reach you yet. Give it time. Sometimes the person you saved doesn't thank you for it. Sometimes they're not even there yet to understand what was done for them. And maybe that's the hardest version of doing the right thing, when the person you did it for looks at you like you're the enemy. Nobody tells you that part ahead of time. And that is the last story for today.